Fireworks and cheers as the new year dawns. The head of state anticipates an exciting 2013 and 2012 regarded as a year of challenges and accomplishments. Welcome to the first 2013 edition of the Diary, the Government Information Agency program that provides a recap of the highlights of the country's president for the week December 29, 2012 to January 4, 2013. Thank you for joining us. I am your host, Fabian Klaus. Stay tuned.
Do you know that Amerindian villages are set to see major development through the availability of an initial sum of $360 million for community development projects, CDPs, catered for under the Guyana Red Investment Fund?
Do you know that Guyana experienced economic growth for 6 consecutive years from 2006 to 2011 despite the many serious challenges, and that for the first half of 2012, 2.8% was recorded due to its stable macroeconomic policies and good fiscal management?
Do you know that because of more disposable income available, Guyanese are now able to invest in various levels of business ventures, ranging from cosmetology, clothing, wholesale and retail, food and beverages, taxi, import and export, mining and auto sales?
Guyanese bade farewell to 2012 and ushered in the new year with a dazzling display of loud fireworks illuminating the night skies all across the country. The new year met President Donald Ramotar and First Lady Deolashmi Ramotar at the Guyana Defense Force Officers Mess Campi in Ghana on the dance floor with several other dignitaries and their spouses, reveling to the sounds of a live performance. A fireworks display that signaled the entry of a new year were evident from those who witnessed. Non-commissioned officers and their spouses were celebrating the new year over at the GDF auditorium where the head of state and first lady stopped in for a few minutes. The Home Affairs Minister and senior officers awaited the Commander-in-Chief and First Lady over at the Ivlery Police Officers Mess. They later joined other celebrants on the dance floor. As General Secretary of the ruling party, he supported an all-years night gathering organized by party activists at the Guyana National Stadium at Providence.
We're very happy to have you. We want to say that you have done well for your first year. You could depend on our flinching support.
While tonight is a night for you to take time off, to enjoy yourselves, I hope also it will be an opportunity for you to recharge your batteries.
In his New Year's message to the nation, the head of state expressed hope that 2013 brings more prosperity to all Guyanese in their personal and professional endeavors. The year 2012 was described by the head of state as one of accomplishments and challenges, but with gross domestic product projected to record a growth rate of 4%, it will be the 7th consecutive year Guyana's economy performs creditably. In the midst of an economic crisis that gripped the world, Guyana's economy withstood shock and continued expanding due to a wise and prudent management. Guyana is on the path of adopting a new wave of development projects to supplement traditional sectors that have been buttressing the country's gross domestic product. Reputable organizations like the International Monetary Fund, the Caribbean Development Bank, and ECLAC have been giving Guyana thumbs up for performances, and the head of state in his New Year's message to the nation gave some of the credit to the people of the country.
Although we are a small, vulnerable economy, the policies we implemented have allowed our economy to be resilient and the external challenges that we face. Let me express our thanks to all our people who have labored to make this a reality.
The country's social sectors continue to benefit from a great deal of the country's national budget in 2012, particularly in education, where universal access has reached 100% at the primary level, with efforts underway to reach the same result at the secondary level. In 2012, Guyana copped 4 of the 8 Caribbean Examination Council Awards and topped the region overall.
Investing in the education of our young people is important for progress in our country to continue. And in this case, what we see is that our investment is paying off. I congratulate all our successful children, their parents, and more importantly, their teachers.
The government's aggressive housing drive through its one-stop shop across the country has allowed aspiring homeowners to realize their dreams.
We will continue to seek more innovative ways to help more of our people to experience the security of having their own roof over their heads.
The year began with the hunt for oil offshore and historic agreements in bauxite and gold mining sectors, including the long-awaited release of the Guyana Bread Investment Fund to kickstart 166 community development projects. Land titles to Amerindian communities were granted, reducing the number of villages left to be titled, and old-age pension was increased to $10,000. Construction of the much-talked-about Marriott Guyana Georgetown commenced a few days before the opposition's move in the parliament to halt the government's financial input. As we reflect on 2012, we'll also recap on some of the difficult periods in the year that the president had to confront. A brazen daylight pirate attack in the Pomeroon left fisher folks in fear of their lives and business. Concerns about the issue led to a meeting with the president, who promised to heighten security.
We are putting in place a response. I assure them that we are putting in place a response to what is taking place, and I hope that this will be implemented immediately, because this thing, we have to stamp out this lawlessness from our society.
Seasonal rainfall left sections of Guyana, including the city areas, inundated. Vulnerable areas like North Rheinveld were most at risk.
This area, we've been having reports about floods, a lot of water in the area. And so
your assessment and maybe possible solution?
Well, I think a lot of work has to be done with the internal drainage and the main canal, where you have a lot of squatters on them. We have to try to find a solution, because I think that's where the big blockage is happening.
A meeting between President Ramotar and officials of Caribbean Airlines was called after travelers of EasyJet were left stranded when the airline was suspended.
We are confident over the next couple of days we will be able to accommodate on our line flights and our other direct flights. We will be able to accommodate all the passengers.
The Demerara Harbour Bridge suffered a sudden collapse, forcing alternative arrangements, and engineers work around the clock to have the important infrastructure back in operations. Demonstrations in Linden against the new electricity tariff led to clashes between police and protesters, and 3 persons dead. A visit to the mining town by the head of state came after order was restored.
The tariff can't be more than a mortgage. We can't, you see, best you go and get mortgage for 4 houses than to pay them kind of tariff.
Yeah, but I mean, all over the country, people pay at a certain level. All we're saying is that we don't want you to pay all at one time, but we want you to start conserving and gradually be bringing it down.
We could understand that.
And because, I mean, things here ain't worse than synthetic ignitions in Rupunuri.
Uncle. In Rupunuri?
Synthetic ignition is paying for the electricity.
Uncle. But what about the economic,
economic is like years ahead. There's like Guyana and New York.
The death of an Agricola teenager sparked similar demonstrations in the East Bank Demerara community, and in an address to the nation, the president threw blame at the opposition for playing an inciting role. You are watching The Diary, more still ahead.
Do you know that under the National School Uniform Program annually, about 165,000 children are receiving vouchers throughout the coastal regions, whilst over 29,000 hinterland students are benefiting from the distribution of school uniforms to ensure all of Guyana's children can access education? Do you know that hundreds of schools, primary and nursery, have been built in the hinterland regions, making it easier for children to access education closer to their villages, while several secondary schools have also been built as the administration makes strides in increasing the number of children accessing education at this level?
Do you know that close to 100 Amerindian communities are today in receipt of their land titles, and the PPPC government will expedite processing of the remaining communities through a pact with the UNDP that would also cater for demarcation?
Do you know that in its efforts to combat crime and maintain law and order, the PPPC government has built and renovated more than 50 police stations and outposts throughout the regions that are better equipped and technologically advanced to transmit vital information to the Integrated Crime Information System?
The new year has arrived and new priorities are to be set, chief among which is the 2013 national budget. In his New Year's message to the nation, the head of state said Guyanese should look forward to an exciting year. The construction of new schools, fiber optic cable-driven information communication technology services, and a modern facility for the homeless are some of the major projects that President Ramatar outlined for the new year. The construction of a new school at Cato is scheduled to commence this year. A total of 350 students, among whom are those from satellite communities, will be accommodated in the school that will comprise a student dormitory. The investment, according to the President in his New Year's message, will influence equity in the delivery of education to Guyanese children.
We are working to construct new schools in the interior to ensure that all our children, no matter where they are, have a chance at secondary education.
The new school at Cato will be equipped with 12 classrooms, an industrial arts department, a canteen, 2 science laboratories, an administrative block, computer laboratory, and home economics department, among other facilities. The interior locations are also to tap into the services provided by the new fiber optic cable from Brazil that will begin operations soon.
This year too, we expect our new fiber optic cable to be operational and that we would be able to extend its services right across our coastline and through our interior. It is our expectation that this will create IT jobs not only in the center at Georgetown, but from Charity to Molson Creek and into our interior. All of these initiatives will make steady advances towards a modern economy and society.
The commissioning of a home for the homeless at Onvarok, Region 5, is expected sooner rather than later, and it is President Ramatar and his government's hope that the facility will give back dignity to the destitute.
We believe that everyone in our society, no matter their background, deserve another chance at building a successful life. After all, protecting the vulnerable is an important aspect of the humane and democratic society we are constructing.
2013 will also mark the anniversary of significant historic events for major ethnic groups in Guyana, occasions that the President believes can help promote the uniqueness of the Guyanese people and promote the Guyanese culture.
This year, we will also be observing some important anniversaries in the history of our country. We'll be observing the 250th anniversary of the Berbice slave uprising, the 175th anniversary of the arrival of Indians in Guyana, and the 175th anniversary of the abolition of slavery. These anniversaries are significant to all Guyanese. They must be used to allow us to foster a greater understanding of ourselves and a deeper appreciation for each other.
With a new legislative configuration, 2012 began with the President optimistic about cooperation and engagement with opposition politicians. But with the National Assembly transformed into what many termed a laughingstock, those hopes were gone. At the opening of the 10th Parliament, the head of state cautioned parliamentarians, particularly those on the opposition bench, to guard against a gridlock, but warned that his government will not be subject to intractable posturing. The year would later see the opposition using their one-seat majority to vote in a speaker and deputy speaker and win a majority at the select committee level, much to the surprise and dismay of the government. The 2012 national budget was trimmed down after the opposition voted against $20 billion that were allocated to key government programs and agencies. Sittings were abruptly suspended as a result of heated and sometimes unnecessary tantrums. A no-confidence motion was moved against the Home Affairs Minister, gagging him from making any pronouncements in the Parliament. In his New Year's message to the nation, the President could not help but allude to the way the Parliament has become.
What all of us have observed is that the National Assembly was transformed into an arena where the main objective and obsession of the opposition was to score partisan political points, counter to our national interests. It is now in such a state that unconstitutional motions are being regularly taken to Parliament.
The opposition's actions forced the government to turn to the courts, and with the threat to rule by motion, President Ramotar declared that he will not assent to any opposition-piloted legislation that lacks government's input. Even with all that happens, the head of state is still counting on dialogue and cooperation, now that the new year has arrived and new priorities are to be set.
History has shown that a nation's all-round progress is always enhanced when honest debates, dialogue and compromise are the tools used in the body politic. While the government has been willing and has moved even more than halfway to meet the opposition and compromise, we have not seen the same willingness from the other sides. I urge the collective opposition to reconsider its position and recommit itself to the betterment of our country and the lives of the citizens of our Guyana.
That's all in this week's edition of the Diary for the period December 29, 2012 to January 4, 2013. Before we go, these were just some of the highlights. Fireworks and cheers accompany the new year. The head of state anticipates an exciting 2013 and 2012 described as a year of challenges and accomplishments. Do join us again when we bring you more of the Diary. Have a pleasant and safe rest of the week.